My name is Liliana Agradano. I'm the Marketing Operations Manager here at Radius Agent. This is, I want to say, maybe our 6th Tuesday Talk event where we bring on amazing folks to talk about their specialties or do trainings or coaching. And a little bit more about Radius Agent. We started as a network, so essentially we're kind of like the LinkedIn for agent to agent kind of networking, things like that. We also have a referral network where we now launched an agent to agent referral process on our app. In addition to that, we also have an ISA program. And last but not least, the most exciting thing of at least our year was our new and game-changing brokerage, Radius Agent Realty. Really focused on highlighting the personal brand, which is why we're really excited to have BrandFace. That's right on theme with us. So thank you for joining us. And I want to introduce, first and foremost, Tonya Emberhart. She's the founder of BrandFace, a speaker, international bestseller, and is the branding agent for business stars. So welcome, Tonya. Great title, first of all.
Thank you, Liliana.
And also equally as great, Mr. Michael Carr. Thank you again for joining us. He is BrandFace's partner, COO, also known as the Abundant Life Broker. And he is also an America's best-selling real estate auctioneer and has sold billions of dollars in sales, which includes real estate, commercial, and residential, and a handful of other things. So thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tonya, for being here. And without further ado, I'll let you guys take it off.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, bear with me one second, guys. I'm going to share my screen and pull up a presentation we're going to share with you today because we believe in delivering a whole lot of content and valuable information to you guys. And I find that a lot of times the best way for you to retain that is actually to see it on your screen. So we're going to share this. Let's see. Present. All right. Everybody tell me when you can see it, Liliana, if you don't mind.
Yeah, perfectly clear.
Awesome. All right, guys, let's go. This is going to be energy-filled, action-packed presentation today. So everybody put your seatbelts on.
Now get your helmet if you're going with us.
That's right. We're actually thrilled to be here. And thank you so much to Radius Agent for having us today. I'm Tonya Eberhardt, as Liliana introduced me, and I am the founder of BrandFace.
Yep. And I'm Michael Carr. I'm the COO of BrandFace. I'm also the CEO of Michael Carr and Associates. We're a nationally recognized brokerage. And you need to know, I was actually a client of BrandFace before I became a partner. So,
yep, we have a lot to share with you today about personal branding. And so, for those of you who don't know, we are the authors of BrandFace for Real Estate Professionals.
Yep, it was written about a year after I became a client. She asked me to write in a little bit. She had written the original book, BrandFace. And then after I hired her to help launch our brokerage, then she asked me to write the BrandFace for Real Estate Professional. The concepts we're going to teach you today have helped me quadruple my business the first year of business that after I had hired Tonya and her previous firm to work with that and put those principles into place. And it continues to grow every year. Okay. So in fact, now my brokerage has closed more deals in a month than we used to close in an entire year. And I point that out because it's going to be important to you guys. We live this every day. And these things that we're going to talk about, I still keep in practice, not only in my brokerages, but I teach them to the agents that join us. So we're living proof that the concept works. So.
All right, guys. And before we get started with today's presentation, which is why your personal brand must take center stage in 2021, I want to say, hey, type your questions into the chat area for us, and we'll come and answer those at the very end. We're going to leave plenty of room for questions. And if by chance we don't get to your questions today, you guys can go to discussyourbrand.com. And we've made some time this week. You can schedule just one-on-one times for us to answer your questions for you. Okay. So let's get started though. Why your personal brand must take center stage in 2021. You know, as I said, we're going to move quickly through this. So the number one reason that your brand must take center stage here is really what's changed, this year. As most of you know, it's a virtual reality world, and not in the typical sense necessarily, but virtual meetings, guys, have become a reality.
Mm-hmm.
There are just fewer in-person meetings. We all know that, thank goodness for Zoom. As Michael says, we should have all bought stock in Zoom. But yeah, exactly. And sitting across the table from somebody has just become much more scarce these days.
Yep. The landscape has shifted to an online contact and communication. That's sort of what we're doing even today, right? Which means learning more about you online takes center stage. And in so many ways that people can learn about you through your social media, through your websites, through those, even websites you don't even know you show up on these days. And we know that the NAR statistics have taught us for several years now that like 85% of our client base is checking us out before they ever make initial contact. Okay. So that's very important that your personal brand takes center stage. That's not going to change. Okay. It's only going to get more important, right? We know it's been going on for years, and it's going to be more so. Certainly the first place that people are exposed to you is going to be where you tell your story. And with digital taking the lead and it comes to doing business, our mantra that we've had for years now it becomes even more powerful than it was when Tonya wrote it originally.
And that is, guys, people don't do business with a logo. They do business with a person. And that's why personal branding is just so powerful. It's also why you should be concerned about and prepared for the number two reason that your personal brand should take center stage in 2021.
Yeah, the death of differentiation. All right. And this is just happening everywhere. And it's astonishing to me. Everybody on this call probably feels like everybody else is trying to force you into a box, and especially in the real estate business. It seems as though some in industry are determined to turn us all into transactional beings, almost order takers, if you will. Tonya calls them real estate robots. Which is about right, So let's start with the iBuyer movement, right? The big disruptors, and everybody was all concerned about this when it first came around. The consumers being taught that they don't even need a real estate agent. They don't need anybody on their side. They don't need anybody looking after their best interests or what motivates them to do that, right? But one of the things, obviously, they don't tell you on the front end is that if you use an iBuyer movement to just get a guaranteed offer on your house, then it's higher than the normal real estate standard commission. In fact, the average is 8.5% right off the top, and then they factor in repairs and on top of their service fees, right? And you definitely your clients are not going to get 100% of what that property is worth on a moving everyday market, right? Here's the good news. Let me give you some good news about iBuyer movement. They only occupy 4.2% of the market share, and that is down from 4.7% of the market share last year. So they're already seeing a slip and slide to that whole thought process because, listen, the consumers aren't dumb, right? And it's a numbers game, and they're buying this investment or looking to sell this investment, and they want to maximize that. So it's the perfect time for you guys as individuals to stand out and be an authority to your client. All right, which is the whole reason we're talking about this today.
Yep. And the next thing we want to talk about is the big box brokerages, right? Their job really is to hire as many agents as they can to get out there on the streets and promote their own brand. And that's fine, right? The larger they are, though, the more they convince you that you need their brand. So they tend to, in doing so, they tend to kind of downplay your expertise, downplay your strengths, downplay your point of differentiation. And if that's not enough, take a look at the typical yard signs, business cards, websites, how they all kind of look alike. They all have the same framework. And now Zillow wants your commissions. I mean, come on. So what's the solution? Well, it's more important than ever to differentiate yourself. That's the solution, guys. And here's what it begins with.
Yeah, the differentiation begins with your ideal customers and your point of differentiation. We're going to break these down a little bit now and more later.
So here's a sneak peek inside a formula that we developed and that we use to help our clients figure out who their ideal customer is. And while that might sound pretty simple on the surface, I'll bet you many of you are sitting there shaking your head thinking, no, it's not quite so simple, because you want to work with everybody, right? But we know we can't do that. So we developed this formula to help you narrow down your ideal customers. So let's take a look at it. It's an acronym. The H stands for someone you can truly help, right? We all want to, we're in this business. Many people tell us I'm in this business to help people. And we love that. And you guys are some of the greatest people in the world. And you do genuinely want to help people. So it all starts there. Who can you really help? Who are you qualified to help? The E is, who do you enjoy working with? Because life's too short not to enjoy it.
Amen
right?
to that.
And the A is somebody who appreciates what you bring to the table, the hard work that you're going to do for them. And we cannot leave out the P, which is somebody who is actually profitable.
That's important.
Profitable for you. So those are the basics of the HEAP criteria to kind of get you started. It's a powerful formula. And once you kind of pull all that together, it begins to take shape. So one thing you need to know about that is choosing your ideal customer is not about boxing you in. It's about helping you focus on the kind of business and life that you deserve. Think of it that way, guys.
Yep. Stay with us right here and we'll explain this even more in detail. All right, next up is your point of differentiation. It's critical to focus on one thing that's going to lead the charge for you, okay? One thing that you want to be known for, one thing that you want to stand for, something your prospects will immediately begin to be connected to, or we sort of call it the shiny, right? Something that initiates their interest in you and then leads to the rest of your story, okay? Now, this one seems to stump a lot of people, and frankly, it's easy to understand why. Everybody has multiple points of differentiation that, multiple interests or multiple things that they're knowledgeable about or whatnot. So you need to decide on one thing, though, because when we deal with people and we're building brands, they'll be like, oh, well, I know this, I know this, I know this. And we're like, okay, wait, we got to bring your focus in just a little bit right here. We'll explain why this is really important as we go through this program right here. We do this through our STARE method. It's a trademark method that we use, but simply put, it's looking at each one of them individually and deciding on the one thing that sort of brings most of that criteria into focus for them, okay? And this is all about your point of differentiation. And again, you're going to see why this is so important as we go through this.
Yep. And when it comes to your point of differentiation, it can't just be, okay, here's what makes me different. Okay, that's cool. That's great. But in order to be truly successful with it, to pull the whole business together, if you will, it's got to meet two criteria. What is unique about you has to be important to your ideal customers and also unique to you and your market. If it's not important to your customers, then it's not important.
Right.
It's not going to work. If it's not unique to you, if everybody else does it too, if it's the same thing everybody else is saying and doing, then that's not going to be very unique either. So it's not what we would call a point of differentiation. So when you understand those two things, your ideal customers and what sets you apart,
then you come up with what we call the brand identifier. Some of you might call that a tagline or a slogan. Okay, we're going to talk more about that here in a minute also. Your brand identifier should state who you are or what you do or what you stand for. Okay, one of those. And this is the shiny I talked about a while ago. This is what gets your foot in the door with your client. Okay, it's what entices people to want to learn more about you. It's just enough. We live in such a world where we got so many distractions going on. You're trying to put yourself out there in a way that they go, what is that about? Right? If it can be provocative and ask a question, then you're on the right track. It won't hold their attention though for a long time. Like Tonya says, it's like a book. You see the cover of the book and that's what catches your attention. But every chapter should lead to the next chapter, or they're going to lose interest and they're never even going to open the book. Right? So it's a foundation, and it can't just stop with a brand or a tagline. It's not enough to coming up with a cute or catchy saying. It's got to mean something, and it's got to mean something to that ideal client.
Yep. So as a matter of fact, here's the exact formula of how to choose a brand identifier. It's your ideal customers plus your unique point of differentiation equals your brand identifier. And, people get stuck a lot of times on this brand identifier, this perfect tagline, if you will. And sometimes people feel like that, oh, that tagline is perfect for me. Sometimes they feel like, you know what, that's good. It's a great door opener. But keep in mind, it's a door opener. The rest of the story is past the door, right? So as Michael was saying earlier, we all have a ton of different points of differentiation. We all have unique things. So for instance, when our team is on the phone with people who are interested in working with us, they'll say, okay, what do you feel like your point of differentiation is? Very rarely ever do we get a point of differentiation.
Right.
We might get 10, 12, 15. That's okay. That's great, because you know what makes you different. And then our job is to kind of help you reel all that in and come up with something that'll kind of lead the charge.
Yep, absolutely. All right. The third reason your brand must take center stage is really important, guys. It's the marketing impact. If you're spending money on your advertising, it is unbelievably important that it be poignant to the right people. Branding and marketing are very different things, and you're seeing that. We're seeing a whole lot of this. She's been teaching personal branding for years. She wrote the book almost 9 years ago. We wrote the BrandFace book 7 years ago. We've been talking about personal branding for a long time. You're seeing a lot of people talk about personal branding now, but they don't fully understand it, folks. You've got to draw the differentiation in your mind between branding and marketing. And we're going to talk about that just a little bit at those differences. They're totally different things. Marketing is using different platforms or vehicles to get that message and image in front of your customers, okay? And your ideal customers are obviously most important. And it's going to encompass everything from how you answer the phone to what messaging goes into your advertising. That's marketing, okay?
Mm-hmm. Now, branding, on the other hand, it is the message and image that sets you apart. It is the message and image that you infuse and you use throughout all of your marketing. Your brand, as we said, it identifies what you stand for, your promise to your customers, what sets you apart. Okay. And that's why your marketing really suffers if you don't have all this dialed in. Think about it. You can market yourself everywhere, but what are you going to say that's going to separate you from your competitors? Otherwise, you are marketing just like everybody else. And that's a lot of time, effort, and money wasted when it's not all dialed in.
Yep. There's 4 fundamental mistakes and reasons that marketing fails. We hear this all the time. And in fact, she heard this from me when we first got introduced, and I'm like, in marketing, oh man, alive. And I'm an instinctive marketer. Like, I have always believed in marketing, and I've made a lot of mistakes when it came to marketing before I met Tonya, right? And so we hear people all the time talking about, oh, marketing doesn't work. Marketing doesn't work. It does work. The correct marketing absolutely works. And that is what we're talking about, a return on your investment. And you want to scale your business, even if you're a one-person shop and you want to scale your business, you have to be thinking about it this way, all right? Because when the brand isn't put together, and you're going to first notice it in your marketing dollars, and especially when you pay to market yourself, you don't want to make these mistakes because so much of that marketing money is absolutely wasted. So let's teach you what the 4 fundamentals are right here.
Well, the first one to me is the most important one, because without differentiation, once again, you're marketing just like everybody else. And then you kind of fall into what we call this sea of sameness, if you will. But it's by far the number one failure. And if you think about it, it's not enough to market yourself as a real estate professional. Why? Because there are hundreds or thousands of you in every market. So you
and more every day.
That's so true.
Nowadays.
You have to figure out what makes you different from all those others, because you can actually tell your prospect all day long that you're better than another agent, but better is subjective. What might be better to you might not be better to me. But different, giving them something different to remember, well, that's inarguable. And if you don't set yourself apart, you just end up marketing like everybody else.
Yep. And when this happens, you blend into what she said earlier. The sea of sameness is what we call it, right? Consumers have no choice but to view you as a commodity, and more, and every one of you can identify with this, are not even valuable at all. Like they don't even understand what you do, right? And so it's a transactional being. You're an order taker. You're not a specialist. You're not somebody with an authentic authority to be able to command the attention of the person you're trying to get. You haven't set yourself apart from other people, so they just lump you in with everybody else. Zillow is a perfect example about this, and I'm not here to beat up Zillow, but Zillow just wants us all to be the exact same. And of course, like we said earlier, now they just, in the state of Georgia, you can't even buy zip codes anymore. They cut you in on the brokerage, and so they're trying to move into our territory. But for years and years and years and years, if you bought, and I'm not saying it's not successful, we have some success in Zillow, but to give you an idea, I gave up on Zillow 6 years ago, and my company has never faltered. And it's because you just go to any property page in Zillow, scroll down to the bottom, and you're going to have 3 agents. They don't even look different from the agent that's actually got the listing. Everybody looks the same. How are they going to know who to choose? That you don't stand out at all. You're in that sea of sameness.
Exactly. And so now we move into the number 2 fundamental marketing failure is no defined target. And if you notice, guys, that would be your ideal customer and point of differentiation. Those 2 are the very first 2 things we discussed today, because they're the top 2 mistakes that most people make. So, when I was in media sales, business owners used to say to me, well, I want to reach people between the ages of 25 and 54. Because that was just the demographic, the way they laid it out. And I just smiled a little and told them, my goodness, that is definitely not a target audience. That is a family reunion. Yeah. So people between age 25, age 54, they have very little in common. And when you speak to them very often on different platforms in different places, and definitely with a different message. So when your ideal customers aren't dialed in, it impacts where you market and the message that you put out there as well.
Yep. Because here, let's face it, you can't be all things to all people. And if that is your goal in the real estate business, I'm telling you, you're going to wear yourself out and you're going to run out of marketing dollars. It's a recipe for failure. And this is where so many agents go wrong. And I teach my agents, the farming area is way too big and you're trying to be way too many things to way too many people. And if you spend all your marketing dollars trying to reach everybody, then you're just going to end up being disappointed in marketing, right? So we coined the phrase, and it's in our book, that if you try to help everyone, you're going to help yourself out of business. That's effectively what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm. So the third marketing failure is that their marketing is missing personality. So it's that human element that's behind why somebody would choose you over another person, because people instinctively just want to know the story behind the face. They want to know that human being they're doing business with. When you walk into a room, it's really nice when somebody says, hey, saw your son graduated from high school. Congratulations. But you've bought him luggage for graduation, which, by the way, was the present that my mom got me when I graduated from high school. I really struggled with that for years. Actually, I asked for it, but it's a good joke on old mom. Okay. So that they want to know the story. And when they walk in and they say, hey, I saw your son graduated, that's a lot better than, oh, how's the real estate business? Well, some people might look at that and say, well, at least they know I'm a real estate agent. I look at that and say, they know who I am as a person, right? They know something more personal about me. That personal connection is going to get you business many, many more times than not.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, consistency. This is my favorite. Consistency. People, you can have the greatest message in the world. You can have the greatest image in the world. And if you are not consistently putting it out there, you will be forgotten. Especially now, folks, when we got so many shiny things coming at us constantly. Like, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Now they've tapped into our text messages. Like, remember when text messages were sacred? Well, they're not sacred anymore. Like, I'm getting hammered by people I don't even know. And they're even calling me the wrong name. They don't even know my name. I'm like, you know, and this is a text message. I mean, we're getting pummeled at every turn, right? We have people call us up all the time. They're like, hey, I need some help with my branding. You know, rarely do they say branding. They'll say a lot of times with my marketing. And we have to teach them what we're teaching you guys here today. And they'll say, you know, I sent out 10,000 postcards and it was, I paid a guy to design it and it had a puppy dog on it. And I sent it out and nobody called me. And so we stop them and we go, okay, first off, we gotta go get back to a fundamental rule of consistency. You would have been better off to have sent 10 postcards to 1,000 people rather than 10,000 postcards to one time. Like, it's not enough these days. You're going to get tossed in the trash, and your printer will teach you, yeah, but it's a postcard. It's got 100% open rate. Well, yeah, thank you. But rarely does it stick in your mind as you're throwing it in the trash. You know what I mean?
98% toss rate.
It does, right? Or higher, right? And so, you know, you got to, first off, remember your rule. Y'all have heard this before, the 7-11 and the 21 rule, okay? It's very important. 7 times before people remember your name. 11 times before they associate your name with what you do, and 21 times of both before they move on an action. Okay.
Absolutely.
So consistency. And we're not just talking about one form of consistency. We're talking about the gamut of consistency, as long as it is deep. Okay. We're going to get into that just a little bit with you.
And just to clarify, I'm teasing about the 98% toss rate for postcards, because honestly, if your postcard is really well done and it's unique and it stands out from everybody else, the people that are in the market to do business with a real estate agent at that moment will hang on to that.
Oh, they will.
Hang on to anybody else.
We're very big.
I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
I love postcards.
I'm glad you did that. We believe in postcards. So we don't make sure you get that point. We do believe in postcards, but we don't believe in one-time postcard and never again postcard. It just, when it does work, it's a fluke is what we're getting at.
Yeah. So here's the lesson in all this. If you failed at any one of these 4 marketing failures, then you end up in what we used to call the media in the media world, spray and pray marketing. And it's just that, guys. You just spray out ideas out there, throw it up against the wall, see what sticks, pray that somehow, somewhere, somebody's going to want to do business with you.
Yeah, right.
And this is where I saw business owners of all shapes and sizes waste money.
Yeah. And the reason why is you can't calculate the cost of confusion, folks. I mean,
write that one down.
You can't calculate the cost of confusion, but it is very expensive. And you know, like if you hire a coach, I'm sure a lot of you are on this, have hired real estate coaches before. What's the first thing they're going to talk to you about? What's your plan? What's your plan? When you got up this morning, who are you going to talk to? What are you speaking about? What is your message to them, right? Well, if they're teaching you that you need to be doing that, you need to be doing that in your advertising, in your marketing, and with your brand.
And you know, the thing about the confusion is it causes confusion in 2 areas, actually. First, it causes confusions with consumers or your customers, because they don't really know who to choose when everybody appears pretty much the same. And then it causes confusion in your overall business direction, and because there's no clear path to follow here. And so the question becomes, how do you build a brand that answers all of these challenges? It's like, finally they get to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the reason we take so long and really help you to understand, you know, or get to this point of telling you, okay, here's how to build the brand, is because you've really got to understand why it's truly important. A lot of you may be sitting there saying, well, I've heard all this stuff before. We've heard about personal branding and how important it is before, but then the question remains, have you done it? Mm-hmm. Have you done it? So if you haven't, then you haven't heard enough yet, right? It's like that 10 times to, you know, send it to 100 people 10 times. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the way we teach people how to do it is through our 3D process. But the first thing we want to get you to understand is don't do what most people do and go for what we call the 3 amigos.
Yeah, this is a trap. This is a sinkhole. The solution involves so much more than just a logo, a photo, and a tagline. It does. Personal branding is really about building your culture. Write this down. Mm-hmm. It's about building your culture. All right. It's about attracting your people. And when we talk about your ideal customer, that's what we're talking about. We have agents talk to us and they'll say, well, you know, want I do business with anybody? Want to sell a house or a property to anybody? Yeah. The answer to that is absolutely. Of course you will. Right. Or if it's not in your market, you'll refer it. You'll still make a little bit of money off of it. So, and the person gets taken care of. But when you're spending your marketing dollars, when you are building a company, even again, we have agents that want to be a one-person shop. They have no desire to be anything bigger than themselves. And that is absolutely successful. And that is a perfect business plan if you have other things that are priorities in your life. But you still need to handle it as a business. And that business is built upon attracting your people, right? So you're building your culture. It's more than just a photo and a tagline.
Yep. And here's how we do it. Okay. It's a 3D formula: define, develop, and display. So we're going to break down each one of these. So when it comes to define, you'll first need to define your focus and direction. And as we said, strong differentiating brand begins with a perfect mixture of these ingredients that we talked about before.
Yep. Your ideal customer and your point of differentiation. All right. And once you know those two things, it's much easier to come up with your brand identifier. It'll set the tone and direction for the rest of your brand and then affect your marketing moving forward. And you should focus on what you want to be known for. Tonya says all the time, well, everybody knows that I'm a real estate agent. Well, that's good. But when you go into the local town restaurant or into the grocery store and you're in line with 3 other real estate agents that are in there, how do you stand out then? Everybody, if all 3 know that, if they know all 3 of you are real estate agents, you want to be the real estate agents that's known for fill in the blank.
And that encompasses the define phase, is defining those 3 things right there. And then when you pull all that together, we need to develop that brand out. It doesn't just stop there, right? We've got that tone and direction set. We know what we want to be known for. And now we've got to develop what that brand looks like. And here's how we're going to take care of that. Beginning with the most important thing, your brand messaging. That is really the language that we use to communicate what it is that sets you apart. So things like your elevator pitch, something we like to call signature sound bites. And those are simply a series of bullet points that are highlights of your brand at a glance. And that's that Reader's Digest version, if you will, for people who don't want to go further, read further. At a glance, there it all is. And then, of course, there's the biography, which, by the way, doesn't just talk about the brokerages that you've worked at, and how long you've been in real estate, and how many homes you've sold, and how many awards you've won, right? It really is the perfect opportunity to inject the personal side of you, those things that will make people get to know you, not just as a professional that you are, but the human being that you are. And
that's the attractor factor.
It really is. It really is. And that's really the thing that is going to make people want to do business with you, not just a real estate agent.
Yep. And repetition of that's so important, right? It's all about your why. People are interested in your why, right? They have a why. And you're trying to show them why they should be doing business with you, right? So we infuse that personality to it and to build, and that's how you build your culture, because you're going to find that your ideal customers, once you've defined them, have those same interests. You have those natural connections that are important. And once you get to that, then your messaging is complete. Now, once you do that, it can't end just like it can't end with the 3 amigos. It can't end with just your messaging. It's time to develop imagery. All right. We know facial recognition has been proven time and time again, all the way down to psychological tests of young babies, right? And when they show the difference in a sad face or a happy face or something like that. Imagery is everything. A picture is worth 1,000 words. We've heard this forever and ever and ever. So the imagery for your brand, after you've got your messaging down, has to match. If they're different, then you're not going to get anywhere. People are going to see something that's off about this right off the bat, right? So it's got to include things like your brand colors, your personal brand logo, the background images that resonate with your ideal customer, and your unique brand and position, right down to the photos of you. And they need to be thought out. They need to tell a story in and of themselves, right? And they have to support your messaging.
Yep. And you're seeing just a few examples here on the screen, but the color orange is a very energetic, vibrant color. And that's part of our personality. You can see some of our personality come out, on the screen. The stars are, unveil your inner star. We have a saying that we use all the time is we don't make stars, we unveil them, because we believe inside of every one of you there is a bright star, and we've got to pull it out and shine it out there for the world to see, because a lot of you are too shy to do it yourselves, right? Or you don't really know how to present yourself in the way that you can.
And best put, folks, is you can't read the label when you're inside the jar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so when those things are pulled together, guys, when you've got all your branding elements that we call them, you've got your brand messaging, your brand colors, your brand logo, the photos of you, imagery or elements that kind of pull that whole thought process and what you stand for together. Now we've got all the puzzle pieces. Now we're ready to move into the final phase, which is display. And there's 3 things I want you to remember about display. We're going to make sure your new brand is displayed correctly, consistently, everywhere. We don't want to just like send out a postcard and redo the business card and let everything stand alone, or redo the website and your social media channels and not change your business card, right? Everything has to change across the board, because that's the consistency that Michael is talking about. His favorite thing is consistency. So think about it this way. You got all these beautiful elements, just like if you were to set up for this elaborate birthday party. Well, what happens if you fail to send out the invitations? That's what happens when you don't display your brand. Nobody's going to show up. They're not going to know you exist, right? And it's just really important to put those same branding elements everywhere in a way that makes sense to your ideal customers.
Yep. And that really means everywhere. Now, we've briefly covered the 3 Ds: define, develop, and display. There is secret sauce to this, okay? We're giving you the simple version because we only have a certain amount of time. We're going to answer as many questions as we possibly can to help you hone this thought process, that we do when we include somebody, when we brand somebody, right? So inside of the 3 Ds, define, develop, and display, we actually look at 77 different criteria when building that personal brand. And there's another little secret to that. It's not just checking off 77 checkpoints like a oil change or in your car or something. It's knowing which ones to focus on. It's very hard to do sometimes. Like I said, if it's hard for you to read that label when you're inside the jar. And we have people a lot of times that say to us, well, I don't want to be braggadocious and I don't want to be this. And I get it, right? That's a very common thought process. It's one I had myself when Tonya came to me. But this isn't about bragging. This isn't about, when you're building your personal brand, it's about sharing your knowledge with the people that you really want to help. They don't know what they don't know. And you're trying to reach them in a way that is authentic, right? So knowing which one of those 77 to focus on and being sure that they don't counteract against each other is also part of the secret sauce, if you will, when we build a brand, because it's not just a checklist that you're going after. It's actually, what is that provocative story that every one of us have?
Yep. And once you get all of that dialed in, guys, that's when you're going to see your marketing soar, because your marketing finally has a message, a clear focus, a clear purpose, and it's sent to the right people. And there's something I learned in media a long time ago. I actually came up with this about, I want to say 20 years ago. And I'm sitting around thinking one day, and when I started in the radio world. And when I first got into radio, I used to hear people say, well, that radio campaign didn't work, and this didn't work, and that didn't work. And then I started to think, okay, what all does it take pulled together to make sure that that campaign works to the best of our ability? Nobody has 100% success rate all the time, but you have a much higher success rate when you've got the elements pulled together correctly. So one of the things I came up with almost 20 years ago is you have to have the right message sent to the right people at the right time, enough times. Mm-hmm. And if you just think about that, I'll repeat it for you guys. The right message to the right people at the right time, enough times. And those 4 things really make a strong campaign. And it's kind of the same way when it comes to branding. You can't just have a piece here or a piece there. You have to have all of them pulled together, displayed everywhere, and infused into your marketing everywhere you market to. And once you do that, every single marketing dollar you spend from here on will be positively impacted.
Yep. Positively. That's the important part.
Absolutely. And what that means is really your brand actually becomes a soldier for you even while you sleep. That's a really important thing to remember as well.
Yeah, it becomes just like another person selling for you. And perhaps the best part is the brand doesn't box you in. It prevents you from getting boxed in, especially like we started in this day and age where, you know, so many of the big brokerages, it's all about the numbers and it's about the big brokerage. And it's not about the individual that builds that big brokerage, right? And you don't get boxed in when you stand on your own merits. And even as an independent agent working for a brokerage or an agency, you absolutely can have your own unique personal brand and be individualized. We encourage it at my brokerage. A Radius agent understands this. That's why they invited us to talk to you guys about this. And we've got clients in 41 states of the United States, 4 provinces of Canada, and 2 other countries. And we've never run into a broker ever that has had a problem with that individual agent promoting themselves and their own unique brand. And now it's your turn, folks, to start thinking about this and building this on your own.
Yep. You know, you got into this business because of mostly, 2 words, flexibility and freedom, right? Obviously to help people, to make money. Those 2 are the obvious ones, right? But the other big bonuses were flexibility and freedom. And that means the freedom to build your own brand and your own business. We're not talking about going against your brokerage's requirements or rules. Not at all. We're talking about playing ball completely, staying within them, within what they want, and promoting yourself and your strengths. Because when you promote your strengths, guess who you take right along with you? Your broker, your brokerage, right? So we like to say, promote your personal brand, protect your brokerage brand. Okay. And having said that, that is the end of our formal presentation part today. And again, thank you so much, Radius, for having us on here today. We have enjoyed it so much. And we're going to open up the floor and take questions from you guys. So let me stop my screen share here. And all right. Here we go.
And thank you, Tonya and Michael. This was amazing. And I'm sure we'll get a lot more questions here. And again, if you guys have questions that you don't see already asked, please pop them into the Q&A or the chat. Starting with Paquita, she has 2. She wants a reminder. What was the A in HEAP?
Appreciate,
man.
Yep.
That's
people
important.
Appreciate you.
Like all of us have worked with people who thought they were smarter than us, right? You know what I mean? You're going to run into that from time to time. But listen, keep your head up. There's a lot of people out there that will appreciate what you do, and that's the ones you're looking for.
Yeah. Awesome. And the next one she had was, can you repeat the 721 ... to remember? She doesn't.
Yep.
So the old marketing rule is that 7 times before they remember your name, 11 times before they associate your name with what you do, and 21 times before they take action on that. Okay. So it's very important that I teach people all the time. They like, I would love to take over the world. It'd be the greatest real estate brokerage in the history of mankind, right? But you got to do it a bite at a time. And so I tell my agents a lot of times, I'm like, get down to 2 or 3 neighborhoods that you know well and canvas that farming area. Reduce your farming area into a manageable spot. Now, if you can manage 10, go to 10. If you can do 100, go to 100. But a lot of people can't. And so pull your farming area down a little bit to where those people in those neighborhoods see you very consistently many, many, many times over, rather than just one time to a big giant swath of geographical area.
Absolutely. So hang on one second. We've got a question here. How do I know if my brand is working or if I even have a personal brand? That's a great question. So first of all, everybody actually has a personal brand, right? It's just, are you portraying everything that you want to portray? Are you portraying yourself the way you deserve to be seen? Okay. And some of the ways that's working, I'll give you, for instance, there's an awesome lady in New Jersey named Marianne Elsasser, and she owns a brokerage there. And she came through our program not too long ago. Her brand identifier is actually Home Navigators. That's her whole team. She has a team called the Home Navigators. She said she loves her brand so much now that she is making t-shirts. She's made a signature candle, a signature Home Navigator scent. She has just gone above and beyond to really push that brand. And she says now when they walk down the street, people will say, oh, there go the Home Navigators. And when people start to refer to you by your brand identifier, that's one way you know your brand is working. Here's another crazy way you know your brand is working. It's when mostly other agents, other people start to make comments about your brand, and some of them are snide.
Yes, some of them
some of them are not so nice. And that's when you really, really know that it's working, right?
Yeah, just smile to yourself and keep going. That's good. That means it's
you
working.
hit a nerve, and that means somebody's sitting out there thinking, I wish I'd done that.
Yeah,
I wish I'd done that. But that actually, all kidding aside, that actually is one way you know it's working. And then of course, there's like 4 ways, and there's another one is when you begin to see that people are reaching out to you and making comments about some of the things in your brand messaging. I saw you do this. Oh, I would like to do business with you because of this. They connect with you on a deeper level. And then the 4th one is when 65% or more of your business is made up of those ideal customers. And that might take a little bit more time, but you will get there with that brand and keep putting it out there, because that's how it all works. So
that's right. And on the heels of that, Scott asked, what does my marketing or my branding on my shirt say? Which way do I go?
That way.
It's anything real estate. That's our company tagline. Yeah, so Michael Carr and Associates is anything real estate. And actually,
funny story about this.
I had that before I met Tonya. See, I was one that knew branding was important, but I didn't understand it as branding. I just thought it was just like marketing. And so
it was instinct.
It was instinctual, but I had the benefit of being around other business people that were that way. So I sort of learned and watched them, not be afraid to make mistakes and things like that. And so I had a little bit of that acumen, and I had anything real estate when she came. And she's like, that's the first thing we're getting rid of. And I'm like, oh no, yeah, getting rid of that. And because she thought it was too broad, which is exactly what we taught you guys earlier. You didn't want it to be too broad, but we defined what anything real estate means with Michael Carr and Associates. And it's because I have an auctioneer division, I have a broker's division, I have an investment division. And so all of those are under one umbrella. They cross-pollinize. And so anything real estate is our company brand. So, and
it fits perfectly. I
yeah,
didn't think so at first. But
and it goes with every one of our agents. 40% of Michael Carr and Associates agents are actually BrandFace agents. And they carry that brand with them everywhere they go. So.
And Jody says, how can I find out if a brand's already taken? Okay, so Jody, I think I'm assuming you mean a brand identifier. I'm pretty sure that's what you mean. So one thing you can do is just check the USPTO, which is the United States Patent and Trademark Office. You can check that. And then of course you want to like Google in your area and search on Facebook and make sure nobody else in your area is using the tagline that you want to use. For instance, we have 2 different types of brand identifiers in our program. One is trademarked brand identifiers. We've taken our most popular over the last number of years, and we've trademarked a lot of those. And the reason we did that was to protect our agents. So if they want to license one of our unique brands, for instance, Home Navigators is one. If they want to license that unique brand identifier exclusively in their market, they can do that, and nobody else can mess with them because we own the trademark for that. So, and then we have other brand identifiers that people have in our program that are not trademarked by us. So you have options to go with there, but USPTO, Jody, is one of the ways that you can check that. And then just making sure you search so that you don't all of a sudden ride down the road one day and see your brand identifier on somebody else's billboard. Mm-hmm. So you want to check that for sure, but a great question.
Yep. How do we know about pricing? You can go to discussyourbrand.com And one of our team members will be glad to talk to you about that. That's actually a free call. There's no obligation whatsoever. If you just want to discuss branding in any way, shape, or form, we love to talk about it. So all of you are welcome to go to that. Or if you have questions we don't get to today, you can go to that. But that's also a way to find out pricing. They'll set up an opportunity for you to talk to somebody. Yeah. And then do you need to consult with your broker to see if they allow personal branding? You definitely can do that. They are going to find out at some point. Like I said, we've never seen anybody have a problem with it because, brokers realize that an agent that is serious enough about their program and their business, their own business, that they're trying to grow that and they're trying to promote themselves, they know that you're going to take that brokerage with them. And so as long as you let them know that you are promoting your personal brand, but you are protecting that brokerage brand, then it is free advertising for them. Okay. And we've had several people in our program say, now my broker refers to me as the lifestyle locator, or I've actually gotten leads directly from my broker because I've done this. Anybody that is a brokerage loves the fact that you are trying to build your business. So we've never run into a problem with it.
Yeah. Examples of great branding in the real estate field and the components of brand like color, slogan. Okay, examples. Well, gosh, there's a ton of them. I mean, it'd be real hard to run through them on this one, Brenda, but if you shoot us an email, send us an email to team, TEAM, at brandfacestar.com, team at brandfacestar.com, and we'll send you some examples of branding. We'll send you our BrandFace portfolio, which will just kind of show you some of the designs that we have come up with and elevator pitches and so forth for a few of our clients. But I always like to say that this too, Brenda, and we say this to everybody, which is, don't look so closely at other people's brands, because people come to us to be totally different. And so if you're looking at other people's brands and saying, wow, I really would like a brand like that or a brand like that, well, that's their brand, right? And your brand will be even better, 10 times better than that, because your brand is you. Your brand is you. And that's why.
Don't forget the personal part of
absolutely.
That, right? What branding is establishing a personal connection with the people, the culture you're trying to build. And so it's very, very, very important that you never lose sight of that, because Tonya's culture of people may be different than mine. Liliana's may be different than mine, right? And so because, you've heard the birds of a feather flock together type of a thing, right? We have a natural component in all of us and as humans that want to connect with people. And we have thousands of different interests and thousands of different things and personal life experiences that have developed even why we got into real estate, right? That's going to be attractive to your clients, but you've got to make it personal about you. And like we talked in the other elements, when you add that messaging and that imagery and all of that to make that package, that becomes prevalent to those people, and those people buy houses. So
yeah, absolutely.
Looks like there's a few more questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
This one's by Nairobi. She's asking, as a new agent, how do you present your story when you have absolutely no experience in real estate?
That what you do is you talk about what you do have experience in and how it relates to real estate. Okay. And you want to be with a company that's going to support you, like Radius Agent or somebody like that, that right off the bat sees the importance of things like personal branding. You want to align yourself with brokerages that do that. Okay. And so you can make your particular message about the things that got you into real estate, and don't forget the important ingredient, why that's going to help somebody else. And you'll find that's a lot stronger message in relating to people than, hey, I've sold X amount of properties, or hey, I was won X amount of awards. Those things are important too. So I'm not knocking people that do that, because that's a part of yours will evolve into that as you build your bank of business. But right now, make it about the why you got into real estate. You'll connect with people.
Very well said. And I think there's one more. Are you sending your sphere or past clients anything special for the holidays to promote your brand?
We
That's a
do.
very good
That's
question.
a good question.
I'm hoping none of them are on here because it won't be
Surprise.
a secret anymore. Surprise, right? Yeah. So we actually had Santa Claus photographed with us in our BrandFace book. The most wonderful Santa Claus in the world, and that
The
goes
real
out
one.
in a business in a greeting card. And also there's a globe, there's a globe ornament that is lit from the inside. It's like a little battery powered light inside, and it's a beautiful globe with the gorgeous trees around it. And so it just represents the light of Christmas. And so and you know, for those celebrating Hanukkah as well, we thought that would be a great gift for everybody. So, and it also is sent with them to, you know, to we hope the star inside them is as bright as it can possibly be for 2021. So kind of linking that brand and the star and the light inside of you to all of that. And that's kind of just one more example of infusing that brand in.
That's just lovely. And thank you both again so much for joining us. And again, if you guys are interested, please contact them. It was team@brandfacestar.com, correct?
Right.
And if you'd like more info about our brokerage and how we're elevating our agents and teaming up with companies like BrandFace, please send Kaylee at radiusagent.com an email. I'll actually throw that in the chat right now. She'll make some time with you to kind of go over. And if you don't have our app already, it's completely free. Go network with agents. Just search on your app store, Radius Agent, and you'll be sure to find that. And thank you again, Tonya and Michael. It's been such a pleasure. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you guys for listening to us, and good luck.
And thank you, Sonia. I hope you feel a lot better today. Thank you for the introduction and bringing this into the fold.
And hey, Liliana, if you'll give me this one thing, please, I'd like to say this. Folks, listen, it's all about prosperity. And when we talk about prosperity, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about the 360 of an abundant life. And we know here that prosperity favors the bold. So we say, be bold, folks, especially with your brand. Thank you, Ms. Tonya. And thank you, Liliana.
I love that. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.